Hey everybody, welcome back to another all-new X's for Show, your premium media response show where it's Marvel midweek show episode time. We got a lot of Marvel media to catch up on. You can check the show out at X's for Show on all your soch. As for me, it's Nico Action all the way, NICOACTION.
And I'm TK at TK Elemental.
And I'm your producer, Kev O'Reilly.
So we have an awesome group already with us hanging out in our chat, the incredible LA Galactic. We have a lot of stuff to talk about this week as well. We have X-Men 97 episode number 3. Hey, Tasty Cake. We have 2 amazing game launches that we're so excited about, Rivals and 1943, and we have Deadpool and Wolverine getting a little bit of some interesting stuff going on. Not to mention, Marvel continues to infiltrate Disney parks at a slow but delicious rate. So we're gonna cut into all that cake. But I want to start a little bit with there's also some comics coming out. The comics coming out are still coming out. They come out. They happen. There's comics, I guess. They're comic books, right?
They are comic books.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear.
Quality descriptors irrelevant. They are comic books. If you are a regular follower of our program, we typically do comic coverage on Wednesdays, and for various reasons, we have not the last couple of weeks, not because there has been anything wrong with the comics. There's just been other stuff going on. And prior to that, we were kind of doing a little bit less of a focus on X-Men just for a little bit, mostly because there's like a billion other properties and we don't always want to do X-Men all the time. But we were originally going to do X-Men this week, and we decided, especially after Rivals, that there was really some other stuff to talk about. And honestly, it's really good to talk about that other stuff, and I'm stoked. It wasn't, let's not talk about comics. It was, let's make sure we talk about this other stuff. But every time we don't do particularly a Follow the House of X broadcast, I'm a little more okay with it. And I ultimately think, whether it's next week or the week after, when we do come back to it, I think it will be a little bit better to just talk about what's there, to have moved through a little bit more of it before we start talking about. I was looking, we talked about Fall of the House of X number 2, but we have not talked about Powers 2, Fall 3, or Powers 3. And I think we probably won't talk about it until 4-ish, and I think that's okay.
And, part of it has to do with something I was talking about with you a little bit earlier today. I feel like because Krakoa was really kind of like a big project where everybody got to contribute cool ideas, Krakoa wound up being a lot of things to a lot of people, which is sort of where Hickman was kind of like, maybe I jump off now. But then so many of those early strong architects are gone. We lost Webb. We lost Zeb Wells, who evidently his name is Webb. But we did lose him to Spider-Man. So yep. Webb. We lost Teenie Howard. We lost unbelievable voices like Vita. We lost Leah Williams. We lost
a lot of the women, non-binary, not straight white male perspective.
Truly, and killing me.
And the gay male perspective is very, they are great men, but there is always, it feels like it's who you know crowd when it comes to Marvel Comics creatives. And it often feels like especially women creators are not in the know the same way that even the gay male ones are, which results in things like a woman not writing the wedding story of Mystique and Destiny, which feels insane, even though it's Kieran Gillen, who is a phenomenal writer. But it's a weird place that we're in.
And it doesn't even have to do with necessarily that I feel maybe that we lost some of the architects. So when you're building a building, right? you sort of assume that like the people that are envisioning the ground floor are also the people envisioning the top floor, if not by interior, then by like visual layout, by that customization of like, the walls. And so sometimes when you have people that are like, these are the walls, and then you have other people that are like, these are the walls, it's a little tough. And like, you've got people that are writing so out of sequence. Ben Percy, God love the man's testosterone and basso profundo. But part of my question almost becomes like, are you still writing right now if every one of your books has to say this takes place after, this takes place before? Isn't that just an issue of X-Men Legends?
And I gotta say, it's especially unfortunate for Percy. It's a weird position to put him in, where it's just him and Duggan for endless runs of the Krakoan, or like runs that started really when the era started and never stopped. And I don't think that has worked out very well, but I also think that saying X-Force has to have started and finished before Wolverine, between Sabretooth War, which I guess really has to have wrapped up before Wolverine goes into the fight at Krakoa.
Right, like it says that in the front of all of the issues of the Sabretooth War, it's like this takes place after X-Force 50, but before Rise and Fall.
Oh, does it?
And it's
I
like in this little box in the lower right corner.
Yeah, that's a mess. Especially because in the case of X-Force is really at the end positing like, what if Beast's endgame was huge and really, really mattered, which I don't like Beast's situation, but him having a huge Henry Kissinger-esque, this could change the geopolitics of Marvel stuff forever, that actually could be fine. I think that could be really important and a great legacy for Percy to walk away from. But instead of doing that, it is essentially, well, that could have been what happened if X-Force hadn't stopped him really abruptly, and now it just doesn't matter that he ever existed.
And part of what gets me about the whole thing is when I just did a big reread, and the McHale stuff is almost exactly the same thing as the Beast stuff, is almost exactly the same thing as the Sabretooth stuff. But with McHale and Beast, it's sort of like machinations and unlimited power to keep repurposing genetics. But then with Beast and Sabretooth, their alternate versions are turning on them. So like there are so many layers where it's literally the same thing again, that I'm almost forced to wonder what went where, that it rewrote the direction and the timing. And you can't read Sabretooth War without reading it like it was probably meant to be like 3 issues of Wolverine, 3 issues of X-Force, 3 issues of a Sabretooth series, and then a one-shot. Because it reads like that.
Well, and I think that that's what I would have liked, because that would have given us Victor Laval getting some standalone time. You can tell how Victor Laval writes, and it is not coming through in Sabretooth War. We're not getting really sharp political commentary. We're getting this bloodbath that Percy is so proud of, which I get why he's proud of it. He's a horror writer, and he's a really hardcore stuff writer, and that's great. But I would have not preferred Sabretooth War at all, but if we were going to do it, I think issues for Percy, issues for Laval, and a wrap-up. But I maybe would have done them a year ago. I don't even remember when Sabretooth and the Exiles came out. It's just, we've had Wolverine show up in X-Men now, in the end game of whatever's going to happen to close out Krakoa, to close out their assault on Orcus. And so we know that this can't really matter that much, because he's not so invested that anybody even says, hey, we know you were just coming out of something horrible with Sabretooth. Are you okay to
Right.
fight a Nimrod? Kitty's just like, oh, we are also now both samurai who are unhappy. Scene, there's the fact that Laura is somewhere in the mix, but Talon is dead. There's just too much that should matter is happening in Sabretooth War that can't matter if it comes before Fall of the House of X and it's never mentioned. Which again, all just feels like editorial wasn't really thinking.
And I wonder how much of that has to do with the nature of the editorial process and the changeover to the new editors. I wonder if there's a sort of sense of like some of the things that had to get compressed. Well, oh, well, we can live with it. I wonder where it all shakes out, but we'll see in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. I mean, we're at 46 and we've got till 50 for Wolverine. X-Force is over. Really does feel like a whimper, not a bang. And there's stuff to talk about with House and Powers, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, yeah. Well, then let's get to what we're here to talk about. And let's kick things off with a comic book storyline that is so significant, that has been running for so many years in people's heads, that we find ourselves kind of shocked that it's, I guess for me, one episode. I'm sure that Inferno is going to play out over a whole lot longer in its pieces, in its identity. But oh man, was I surprised that the entirety of the 57 issues of Inferno boiled down to one 33-minute episode of X-Men that I'm not even sure how I felt about.
I said the same thing, and my partner Jake pointed out to me that the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix sagas of the original animated series at 4 and 5 episodes were maybe too much.
Yes, no, because they compressed all of Phoenix starting at issue 100 down to 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So I actually thought there was a lot missing there.
Right. So it's a weird thing where there on the one hand there's stuff missing, but also the pacing was bad on the show. So 4 episodes felt like a lot of filler in it. Like what he was saying was that there was a lot of filler in those episodes.
I can say that for sure.
And so I'm torn between the storytelling feels much more adult and much more sophisticated. And so maybe it's 2 episodes, maybe it's 3.
Maybe you introduced goblins before this.
And so that's the other thing is I don't sometimes I'm this show is really smart and it's doing its own thing and it really grew up with its audience. And then another part of me is this show is aping the stupidity of the original format in order to appeal to our nostalgia in a way that is very is a conscious choice. It's not oh man, we wanted to make a really great show and we actually made a bad one. It's we wanted to do stuff that is as stupid as you remember the original one being. And I just sometimes can't tell where we're at. And nothing is bad. Nothing is unwanted. I really do think the original is bad. I have such fond memories of what it gave 6-year-old me. I say this all the time because I don't want to have the fight with the fandom about the fact that we all loved the show when it came out. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it wasn't important to all of us. But we can all agree that it's just not good for so many reasons. They didn't think you had to write good stuff for children's shows. They wrote, what they thought was easiest to produce. They needed the animation to be cheap. I don't think all of those same problems exist here, but I'm not sure if they are not consciously making it hammy because that is what we remember craving 30 years ago.
I think my problem has to do with understanding target and intent. For instance, Wolverine says, "What the heck is going on here?" But we're clearly shown a nude Magneto standing next to what is meant to be a nude Rogue. And the problem there becomes there needs to be a consistency at the attempt. And I mean that because That is literally the same thing we would apply to a children's book. If you're saying this has the word heck in it, which is supposed to make it seem friendly, D plus, a cartoon, an accessible thing. It's meant to look like a cartoon that's meant to be accessible to children. And then it has these very adult themes in it. Well, I understand what you're playing at, but there is a definite disconnect between the idea of a target audience that knows what's going on and a target audience that doesn't. For instance, I love seeing so many members of X Twitter be like, yes, this is it. This is it for me. And how many of those critical reviews of this show all seem to include dossiers or writers of these criticisms that understood the source material. But something I am finding is from a lot of people who only know the X-Men culturally from the movies, from general understanding, who are like, oh, I'm so excited. That cartoon from my childhood is back. I'm hearing there is some confusion about what's going on, why some stuff is goblins. And I'm also hearing like, why is it so the same? So I think it's a really interesting thing where the people this works for, it works for so extensively. And that makes me really happy. The people it doesn't work for, I think the show is at such a great place to build that bridge by consistent storytelling. I saw somebody say online, guys, it's been 3 episodes. Geez, give it a minute. But those are the same people that I see drop books after 6 pages. So yeah. I do just...
It's also that means we're a third of the way.
Yeah. I find it really difficult when people say it's 3 episodes, give it a minute, because 3 episodes means something like, all said and done, between production costs and advertising, something like at least $6 million was spent on this. So telling me that $6 million shouldn't be fulfilling is the sort of stuff that we tell other people is gross abuses of finances. So like, I don't think this is at all a problem. I think this is going to be a long payoff that I want these same people that are telling me to give this a longer chance. I don't need to give it a longer chance. I'm giving it a B+. I'm very happy with it. I'm going to keep watching it and positively talking about it. I just want to see them give Marvel Zombies the same chance. Not that I'm a fan of that product at all. The Marvel Zombies is not for me. But if I'm hearing, look, this is what it is for the people it's for, let them have this. Marvel Zombies basically helped save Marvel's publishing schedule for a number of years. You got to give it the same credit you give this, which didn't do as much for X-Men sales. I don't think the Fox animated show helped the sales of the Jim Lee X-Men, which only went down after issue 1. Not because of this by any stretch, but this didn't help.
And at the end of the day, we know this has been wildly successful for Disney Plus, for watches. This is a big hit at a time when that's something Disney needed and needs. And that's kind of why we're doing this episode, because this was huge and the last week's was huge. And really worth talking about. The announcement for the 2 new games has been really strong and positive at a time where I think a lot of trust in for DC too, for Marvel and DC, for their game segment is really lost because they keep making Avengers, Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy, and promising the worlds and then quitting. So I think that the fact that they're still able to generate hype, whether or not they can deliver on it, is big. I think at this point, it would take such an epic disaster, like really playing your cards too quick, lifting a review embargo on Deadpool and Wolverine too early, and then having it turn out that it is truly unwatchable and every critic agrees that it's the worst movie they've ever seen. That's basically the only way this isn't going to be Avengers Endgame level huge. The Deadpool and Wolverine movie isn't going to be one of the biggest things Marvel has ever released.
Real quick, Kevo, in the background, while you're producing, would you mind looking up Deadpool's date and the finale for this's date? Because what if they've been trolling us all? And what if that's not Logan? What if that is not the movie-verse Logan that Hugh Jackman said was officially retired after Logan? Yeah. What if this Wolverine in Wolverine and Deadpool is this Wolverine in X-Men 97? And then he could pop back over to X-Men 97 for season 2. Keva, what'd you say it is?
2 months of gap between this finale and Deadpool's release.
I think there's a lot of possibility that we could see some real success from some sort of manipulation of bringing those animated characters into live action. That it was actually this perfect meatball of a man who introduced me to the idea that thick, short, hairy men are exactly the way to go. But, I find myself a little thrown off that for all said and done, this is so well reviewed. I actually wonder how much of it is well reviewed because it's not in the MCU. And the minute they were like, this is in the MCU, people would be like, let me tell you why Mr. Sinister's diamond sheen is fucking stupid. And like, it would be a completely different conversation.
I think even though what you're saying is actually very possible, I think ultimately Deadpool, even as part of the MCU, will be weirdly tangential. I think when Deadpool ultimately shows up in Secret War or whatever Kang Dynasty ends up being, everything, including Deadpool and Wolverine, will be very much behind him. So even though I do actually think what you're saying is really possible, for one thing, Marvel is weird about those Easter eggs, even when we all see them and see the potential for them and how they would be really easy to do, to this day, that they didn't just flash to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on a helicarrier during one of the first 2 Avengers movies, like that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. weren't in one scene helping to evacuate Sokovia is insane to me. It costs so little to make that happen. Scheduling wise, it really isn't difficult. And I think that's one of the things that really could have helped that series have a little more legitimacy. So there's a lot of little things like that where you're like, this is the easiest possible Easter egg to throw in, and Marvel doesn't do it. So even though I think what you're saying makes a ton of sense, the fact that Wolverine is in his very comics recognizable, animated series recognizable yellow and blue, really, I think could contribute to the idea that this is essentially that Wolverine. And I think that would be great crossover. I also think what you're saying is true in that as soon as that crossover happens, fandom gets a little squirrely. And what this may be is Marvel playing around with having its cake and eating its tooth. Stupidest metaphor of all time. But
I've never met anybody who's like, I just want to hold this cake.
I want to look at that cake. Yes, you're always supposed to
Unless
eat it
it's
too.
Wolverine's cakes, I'm not satisfied by just holding the cake.
You wouldn't be satisfied then either.
No, you wouldn't.
I don't know. We just don't know. And we're not going to until July.
Well, and can I just say though, I want to talk about what I am referring to in this instance as plot contrived fairness. But if this were the original series, I would get like a Disneyland resort level sign, like the one that John Stamos, good friend of Josh Peck, John Stamos, in case anybody didn't know who he was. John Stamos has the original Disneyland sign in his backyard. I would get a sign that big that says racism if it was actually still 1997 and they were saying, replace the chick with the what minority do we have here? We have a black gentleman. Okay, put the black gentleman in the role of the woman. Because, oh man, when I realized that there was going to be the opportunity to time slide the baby to the future, and I went, oh no, it's the damn bracelet. We're not getting a Scotty. I don't get Rachel. Fine. I'm not even the biggest Rachel fan, but I feel like Rachel erasure is problematic in the first place because she's kind of, a big lesbian. And then I think in the second place, I'm now concerned that we just sent the only black person remaining on the team into the future because Sunspot is still not a member of the team and Storm just left the team. So I'm now concerned you have found a way to write the 2 black members of the team out of the story while having the 3rd member refuse to join. And I'm concern fused.
And this is the tough thing, because I don't think this is the worst set of plot developments. I don't think this is anybody. I don't think this is anybody even being neglectful. I think it is just bad luck. But it's also, there's only 10 episodes. So even if Storm comes back in episode 5, that makes 4 distinctly that makes 1/10 of the episodes distinctly lacking, where they don't need to be, because there are other black mutants that can be in the mix.
Why be lackish when you could be blackish?
And so many other things where we have no natives in the mix. Where are the Proud Stars? Jubilee.
Well, Forge showed up. He had 1 minute of screen time.
Yeah, that's true. Which also shocked me, because isn't Forge in the future with that baby? Isn't that where we left Forge? I imagine maybe we're talking about 2 different chronally.
We're forging a new path.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I don't know. This is the thing. We do have to just let it play out. But in a season that would have had 26 episodes, I feel like some of these things would be a smidge more forgivable. You're asking a lot when it's only 10. And it's just so weird to me that, like, our efficiencies, our talent, the work path, the workflow to produce an episode of animation compared to what it was in 1993 when this started being produced.
Yeah, no, you can literally just be like, ChatGPT, make me an episode of X-Men 97, thanks.
Exactly. And so the fact that they're like, nope, it's going to cost us millions to get you 10, and it's this Sisyphean task, and not everybody's going to survive. We're going to fire the creator.
Bo DeMayo. I was about to say, we had to use his OnlyFans money, and then we burned him.
And then we put him in a hole he can never crawl out. It just seems like so much for just 10 episodes, where there is so little room for failure by experimentation, trying something out, trying out Storm's deepest story, and having the only tie we have to the future be the thing that sends the baby to the future, but that means we lose Bishop. Those are like things that are forgivable. I mean, this is, if all we get from this series is the gif that I keep posting different dance tracks over of Jubilee dancing on my Instagram, and then the gayest Magneto since Charles and Magneto paired up at the start of Hoxpox, it was worth it.
It's straight up Fagnito, and that's why the M has to be so pronounced. Otherwise, you might make the joke. But otherwise, I would just call this Mufagnito.
Masknito. That's what that M is for. If we were at 15, 16 episodes, there would be some dilution. We're really cutting it close with 10. They've all got to be perfect. They are not all perfect to me. And I just think, there's some rose-colored glasses seeing the show, and I get why. But, oh boy, I mean, like... there's some ruby-tinted glasses when watching this show. And I just, I'm impressed with what they did to compress Inferno into one episode.
Especially because in this one episode, Scott was a better husband to Maddie than he was in 200 issues of Uncanny X-Men.
Truly. They managed to pull off. He's not a great husband. No,
he's not.
He definitely did not go to his wife and say, whatever the deal is, whether you're a clone or not, we'll figure it out. He definitely just stood there like an asshole while somebody he loved suffered. But in the end, he was good. He was good. He was cool. The magical girl transformation of clone Jean Grey into the Goblin Queen. One of the best moments of animation in a while that I have seen. I thought that was... I think the show's anime influences are one of its huge strengths. I think the fact that it is not leaning into them more and is drawing so much from aping its style from 1995 is not where I'm at. But seeing Maddie do the magical girl transfer... What?
Not since Stu transformed into Jake Barnes have I seen such an unrecognizable transformation. Sorry, Jake Burton. Have I seen such an unrecognizable transformation of a girl into a powerful queen?
Yes, nailed it.
Sorry, I've been seeing all the name someone you missed, and if I see one more picture of Leo Giamatti looking uncomfortable.
The magical girl transformation was phenomenal. There were a couple of other just ripped from the frames of famous anime shots in this episode. And that's, I think, a lot of its strength. I love the aesthetics of the Inferno and the goblinness. But yeah, we have no idea what that was. Was that hell or was that all illusion? We don't. We have no information here. It's all
anime sequences would be an incredible drag queen name. Anna.
Yeah,
May.
Ooh,
yeah,
I like
put a pin in that one. If you're watching right now, you know you didn't hear that. When you see anime sequences do her debut in 2 months, you're shocked.
But
I mean, like, so yeah, I loved the flow of this episode. It just was missing so much explanation. And it's unfortunate because I feel like we could have done Jean Grey that we don't realize is a clone is haunted by something during the first 2 episodes so that she can actually, what she's haunted by is demons, so she can become the Goblin Queen proper and we can understand that she is doing actual hell stuff.
If the Phoenix had, in the process of eating a planet, eaten a psychic goblin astral planet,
something, just some explanation in the first 2 episodes, because we all know what's
no, they can't have that. That's mine.
Yes, we all know in the first 2, but we all know from the fact that if you're a fan of everything, you saw the Maddie figure and the baby, and you saw that Jean Grey is having a baby, and you basically guessed it. So either you know nothing and you do kind of need some explanation, or you know everything and you're filling in the blanks yourself, which means you don't really care how they do it.
And if I could compare that to something popular or at times popular in that regard, it kind of reminds me of the Harry Potter moments that they would often still put into the movies, but like the Marauders map and what those nicknames mean for the writers of the Marauders map, it was never explained in the movies.
Yeah.
Ever. Not once.
Yep.
So it's really weird to put in stuff from something that, even when it is popular and famous, that an entire sect of the audience for this adaptation will have no context for. I understand if you're like trying to encourage them to learn, but that's also not their job. You're supposed to be making something that stands on its own and can be cool for comic fans, but you shouldn't have to go looking for what this goblin stuff is.
It's writers of our generation and youngish Gen X are really scared of stupid exposition to the point where they have stopped in a lot of ways expositing stuff that needs to be explained. So many of us grew up with writers, especially in sci-fi fantasy, that just did completely ham-fisted data dumps because you can't understand how the world works unless somebody specifically tells you how the technology works a lot of the time. Or
March 28th, 2024, 6:36 TK comes for my entire writing style. No problem. No big deal.
Don't worry. I do it too. It is a fine balance. And I look at writers like Brandon Sanderson, who has to, the books have like encyclopedias in the back of them. He's writing for the next 50 years and he still gets a little expository. Like, he has left himself so much room to not be expository, and he works really hard at it, and he does a better job than a lot of people, but you still kind of have to, because you are explaining how an entire field of reality physics that are different than ours works. It's gonna happen, and I just feel like so many writers are terrified of it that they end up producing a show that's 1 episode long that can't tell you why a single thing in it is happening.
Which is what I feel like about a movie, a lot of movies.
A ton of movies, absolutely. And Kevo gave a fantastic example. The Harry Potter movies move at such a breakneck fucking pace from 5 onward that I mean, really, I walked out of 2 or 3 of those movies being like, I 100% certain I was just in this theater for the first time 5 seconds ago.
It's like a Baz Luhrmann movie.
I mean, but those have musical numbers. The biggest glaring thing out of all of it, because I can make up my own reasons for the goblin stuff, for where Sinister's coming from, any of it, that she turns to Jean Grey full on and is like, call me Madeline Pryor, a name that came from nowhere.
It's a name that came from nowhere prior.
I really, because I was 100% certain what she was about to say was, call me Maddie. And like having one first name for yourself an hour after discovering you're a clone, going full evil, going back on it, losing your child, that I could believe. That the two of them sharing the same memories always thought the name Madeline was cool and they'd call themselves Maddie. Wouldn't that be cute? And that doesn't need any exposition. If she turns to Jean and says, call me Maddie, and Jean says, okay, Maddie, we know that there's a comic's worth of explanation for why that's her name. But here, it's just her first name. We don't know anything about how they came up with it, but we've all dreamed about what's it like if I live in a world where my name is Ben. What's it like if we all have secret names
Growing
and all
up,
that
it
stuff.
was Josh.
There
Matt.
you go.
I just want to say, Ali Galactic, I see you say my friend watched it and loved it. It was her favorite episode. I completely get that. And I'm never saying something is like bad and that there aren't people it works for. I literally had 3 people be like, I still don't know why you fucking love the X-Men. This was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I was like, okay, that's literally wrong. There are worse episodes of this show. Calm down. So like, I really get where you're coming from, because I gave it a B. Like, I didn't think it was bad. I'm just sometimes trying to analyze. As somebody who literally is a media studies person, I try to take off those glasses and be like, how would I judge this if this was an episode of Youngblood?
And also, I mean, Ali, you see, I think, a lot of the same stuff in fandom, especially like on X Twitter and stuff like that. People just going insane, and I'm happy for everybody. Again, I'm not here trying to be like, don't go insane for it.
Go insane.
But sometimes I'm a little bit surprised, just because some of the people that are so positive are people that I know to be quite critical of things, and I love them for that.
This is a Duggan animated series in so many ways.
Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff here that I'm like, I'm
lowering
surprised.
himself to the ground is such a Duggan moment.
And given how serious it is, this was even a moment that tickled me. I'm not trying to crap on the moment. It's just that people liked it, and it's people that I'm like, I would have thought you would think this was silly. Logan getting big anime white eyes.
Oh, I thought it'd be the Logan claws.
Well, there's that too. But him going, goofy-eyed when they all are about to fall into hell. It just came out of nowhere. It doesn't match the tone to me. So I was just really surprised that was a moment that I saw reposted so many times where people were like, this was amazing.
I think one of the things that takes me aback about it so much as well is this isn't the first of its kind that has been a reboot, a reimagining, a continuation, a sequel of something like this that people have loved for many, many years and clamored for more of. Like, I am still blown away, and it's been a few years since I discovered that there was a Spaceballs the Animated Series by Mel Brooks featuring the original cast, and like, I still see people say, when are we going to get Spaceballs 2? You got Spaceballs 2. You actually just didn't care that much that you got it. And, this is X-Men the Animated Series 2, and it is in so many ways giving all of what the original was, for better and for worse.
Yeah.
And it's not the first of its kind to either give for better and for worse, or to give better and go completely unnoticed. Like, how many reboots did Thundercats go through that people didn't notice and got completely forgotten? And people are still like, where is that? You got it, and you don't even know it's out there.
I really want to point out, Kevo, that really reminded me of when there was that sequel novel to My So-Called Life that was unforgivably bad. And I started to think to myself,
yeah.
What did Winnie Holtzman give us that I could sort of like sub in? And I was like, I guess Wicked is what if Rayanne Graff tried to be Sharon's friend? And
Rayanne kind of did try to be Sharon's friend.
No, she
Cinco.
didn't.
Yes, she
tried to
absolutely.
be Angela's friend's friend.
Angela
Tried
is
to
Galinda.
be there for Angela.
Whether we like it or not, Angela is Galinda because in many ways, Wicked is Galinda's story.
I am Angela, and Rayanne Graff
When
is the most
Rayanne
important person
and-
in my life.
When Rayanne and Chersky do the phone line together and Brian calls, that they are becoming friends. That is a moment between
Okay,
that.
fair.
Listen.
All right. Listen, you're right. I'll give you that.
We're going to have a Wicked, My So-Called Life comparison show in a few weeks, and we'll get to the bottom of all of this.
She should. She look.
We actually, we really should.
Well, we can agree that
was holding me back.
But no matter what, we can just sort of agree that Bach is in fact just an updated version of, and I'm having a moment and my brain is Ricky. Because he's just like the new version of like, he's the new version of gay but can't be gay in front of everybody because Bach is obviously a little blonde Twinkie boy.
No.
Speaking of Ricky, for all the homosexuals in the room and watching, did any of you know that Wilson Cruz is just on Scruff like a person?
No.
But he's literally too
where's
beautiful to
my phone?
be real. Yeah, I'm gonna go on Scruff right now.
Hey. Okay.
I'm gonna search disco hottest bottom and hopefully he comes up. But speaking of disco's hottest bottom, I wish Dazzler was on this show. So
I mean, especially I thought we were gonna even maybe just get a morph.
Commentary that I have seen someone trying to complain and be like, Morph's only purpose is to morph into characters they're not.
Yes, because we can't do all of the character. I actually think it's a great idea.
Same.
I don't care at all. Everybody was going to complain that they didn't get the character they wanted.
It's going to give everybody the TikToks they want.
Exactly. It's literally just Fortnite skins for the animation. Like, you just want to see somebody. You really weren't going to get that character. It's not realistic. Morph as magic, as magic with the fucking helm, but then also the Dark Child. Chef's kiss. I was surprised that we did not get Dazzler, period, or even a morph as Dazzler, given that this is probably our only, if not our most concentrated Phoenix Saga, Jean Grey Saga reference that we're getting this season. I was surprised she didn't in some way show up again. Just means there's more for next time, but yeah.
Oh, the only other thing that I want to say that I'm sad about with this show is I'm gutted over the heroes we're losing from the Age of Krakoa because I've lost these heroes before. Like it's so stupid, but like I really came into teaching in the course of the new X-Men Academy X Kids, but was actually like a kid still. I was 19 and taking teaching courses and English courses. And like, I was forming these ideas where like, I was barely older than the oldest student, but I was barely younger than the youngest teacher. So like losing those kids was really hard because it was sort of like losing myself and losing my students in some ways. And there are all these generations of kids we've lost over and over again from this oeuvre. One of the things that makes me the most bitter is I've lost Sync twice already, and I don't want to lose him again. It hurts, it sucks, but I know that this next evolution of X-Men isn't going to be Sync heavy. And what I would, God damn it, Tori, I cannot even begin to talk about how that moment makes me feel. Pheromone getting sent home by Lisa Loeb's cousin, Alexis Michelle. She said, don't stay. So
have you seen the show, Tamar?
Wait, Tamar, have you watched the show?
Sorry.
Tori, your journey through Alexis Michelle's twisted vision of America is just the beginning. I want you to know.
I love our family. I love
our family is literally perfect. But what was I saying before Tori gave me a heart attack? I just had a Demi Lovato performing at a heart awareness benefit level of Heart Attack Live.
So we're losing a lot of people from Krakoa. We're not getting Sync in the next comic era.
I want not getting in the next comic era, but man, Rogue here isn't providing a whole lot, which is fine. She's kind of providing fodder as a Magneto character. It maybe would have been exciting to see an era of Rogue where she didn't have her powers. and she got to be a woman and a person and still be an X-Man. Maybe she still had some powers, but not the absorby ones. And we could have seen Sync play that role, and that would have been exciting.
I mean, there's so much stuff like that I just sort of, which is why I'm just like, I didn't really even want to do X-Men 97 unless we were going to branch out a little bit. Like, I would have liked to have seen Generation X. You know, if I had my design, by season 2, we're on to Generation X. Season 3 starts to move us maybe into Morrison storylines. Maybe from there we sort of dovetail the branding and do X-Men Evolution, but it's really New X-Men Academy X and all of the stuff that came around that time. Mixed with all of these characters sort of being established, so that rather than having young versions of these characters, it's actually the Academy X kids, but it sort of switches to that style of animation. Like, there's a machine here that could get going, but again, I think the fact that it's this miracle that they pulled off 10 episodes and they had to sacrifice Bo DeMeo to get them on the air, I just don't feel like any, like, I'm not like Nico, Sync is a bad idea. I'm like, they can barely let Jubilee be a little bit older. I think you're pipe dreaming that we're getting Sync anytime soon, but it shouldn't be a pipe dream. It doesn't seem like it's that hard to me.
Well, you know, until Sync is on the air and, you know, we get to really delve into why I let out a Banshee scream. And I specifically mean Sean Cassidy, Banshee, like, aye, brother.
And if you're going to bring him back, you better make him hot. If you bring back the weird
Goblin
monkey Muppet Moira McTaggart's boyfriend from the original animated series, no thank you, sir.
Oh, but while we're at it, can you bring back hot gay Tom Cassidy, who's like all over his hot boyfriend, the Juggernaut, the Unstoppable Top?
Yeah, you need to have them doing the Gambit Wolverine fastball special that would have killed Wolverine, except it's Tom riding Juggernaut like that.
I'm telling you, it's top or not and bottom Tom. It's pretty perfect. And you know, a greatly older, like 25-year-old Sammy the Fish Boy who can make all of his own decisions and nothing's creepy can get involved if he wants. And I hear you, Ali Galactic, that is what he looked like in the Claremont issues. But there's a lot of characters we do a lot of things for, a lot of kindness that we offer to some characters.
Bacalo made him look hot in 1994, and that is now all I will accept.
Because actually, if I can, he originally was a disfigured, horrifying banshee, and part of that actually is based on like actual like Irish character trope, and like so they literally were drawing him like a human version of Alfred E. Newman to mock him, and it's actually kind of racially insensitive. So I am glad that they did update it because it does come off a little unfair to a group of people who that was literally point at the Irish and they purposely made him look hideous. So I do appreciate that they made him beautiful and then they just didn't stop and they made him exceptionally beautiful.
And then Moira skinned him and wore him, and
I bet it was still beautiful.
If he doesn't show up anyway, there's a game coming out.
Oh, games. There's 2 games coming out.
Yeah.
I just want to say...
Let's go in chronological order, but sorry.
Oh, no, sure. Let's go in chronological order. But what I want to say, though, is we get 2 games announced, right? And one of them focuses on 2 characters, and one of them focuses on, like, 40 characters. But what I want to know is, why no Daredevil, though?
Daredevil will absolutely be in Rivals.
Will he?
Yes.
Because he's not. So I just want to know, why no Daredevil, though?
Man with feet. Did you 2 plan this and not say anything?
Did I prepare images for how frustrated I am at no Daredevil in video games? Yes, I did. I have to prepare images. So
you're always allowed to ask me for secret images.
Well, I just usually they're not secret from me.
Why no Daredevil, though? I just am curious.
He didn't ask for Man with Feet. That was me.
I love that. Man with Feet is fantastic. To any of our fans, there you go.
I got you.
So 2 things. One, Daredevil as a 1943 character who's like a bare knuckle boxer, put him up, see, would be fucking hilarious. There's no reason for him to be there. How did he get over onto the the front lines of the war against the Nazis. But
Fighting Frank Murdoch.
yeah, I think the grandfather of Matt in World War II, and he just fights by bare knuckle boxing, would be just fucking hilarious.
I'd also accept it if he was like a really hot lesbian.
Yes, although I think you just would be executed immediately in 1943.
That's why I didn't suggest an incredible trans woman.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Rivals, I really do think he will be a Genji type character. We'll talk about Rivals in a second. Put a pin in him for Rivals. 1943 first.
Ooh, look, it's Tokyo Tower.
Yeah. Where? What? Oh, you're being weird. Got it.
Yeah.
Tokyo Tower looks exactly like the Eiffel Tower.
Yes.
It's a recreation of the Eiffel Tower in Tokyo.
Can you just tell me what you think about this movie?
This game? No, it's a movie. It's a movie
yeah.
you get to play. I am so excited. One of the things that really bothered me a little bit about the narrative progression of this game. So then when I saw the words 1943 pop up in relation to Marvel, I was sort of like, this is such a dead idea. I don't know who this is for. You know, one of the things that we find ourselves immediately thinking is, well, why are you making a Black Panther game in the post-Chadwick Boseman era? And I find myself thinking, you know, speaking about that same idea of we need to be thoughtful of how we portray our characters. No one is lining up for a Black Panther that isn't Chadwick Boseman. And it's unfortunate, it's devastating, but it's a hard truth. So instead of trying to tell me that maybe there's a Black Panther running around Georgia, right? He's a set designer by day, but by night he is a cousin of T'Challa who lives in Atlanta, and he is out here to set the Atlanta night ablaze. Cool. I'm here for it. That was a Sherman burning Atlanta joke. But I think
figured.
So the thing that I think is so powerful here, the tangibility of giving us a Black Panther that is not T'Challa to allow us to engage with him. This is the stuff that Exile's characters are built on. This is the stuff that's so exciting. You know, I hope he's cool. I hope he's fun.
He's not even T'Chaka.
No. Yeah.
His name is Azuri. I assume he is T'Challa's grandfather, maybe great-grandfather.
Maybe he's an uncle. Maybe it's a thing
Yeah,
where like the next child wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So this is a cousin who filled in for a period of time.
Yeah.
You know, I really love this visual. I love this whole episode. You know, I'm sorry, whole episode. I mean, this whole movie, this whole idea of seeing Cap engage with Black Panther in 1943. One of the things that has me very grateful, especially with this group image, is that we see a woman in this image. That she's a woman of color is so important to me, because this is the sort of thing where you could easily, omit characters of color. And then I find myself realizing this is 3 people of color and 1 white guy. And I'm really kind of not surprised, because we know for sure that the gaming community is populated by an incredibly diverse group of people. And with so many Black gamers out there, why not give them an opportunity to connect with a Marvel game? So many, you know, we just heard the idiot trying to take the head of the Marvel chairman seat say that why do we need a movie that focuses on Black characters or women? Because there are Black people and because there are women. And that was just a very silly comment. As a teacher, yeah, that was a silly comment. You want to know
he's the guy who ruined the original Avatar movie, so...
Yeah, you know, you want to know what I see when I see my students. I see young men wearing the Black Panther t-shirt, white and black. I see young men wearing Captain Marvel shirts, regardless of the fact that it's a female hero. So why do we have those things? Because if you think that Black people only matter to Black people and women only matter to women, then, sir, you are literally missing the point of being a human. And so the bigger picture that I find myself really impressed by is Rivals seems like it's for everybody. You know, Midnight Suns seemed like it's for everybody. But there is an overwhelming identity to the American media machine that favors the white experience. if we really get this daring, cool video game that shows us this exciting opportunity to engage with one very recognizable, both white and American hero, Captain America, and these three incredible characters of color, that's a celebration simply that it got made. And I hope that if it's not a hit right away, it's like Midnight Suns, where it is the secret sleeper hit of the year, where Midnight Suns developers are getting asked to talk about that game more now than they did at launch.
And, I think they did a really smart thing with, they've essentially made an unimpeachable case for why we have these characters here. Black Panther makes a lot of sense as a person to be on the world stage in Paris during World War II. Like, that just makes total sense. I assume the woman to the right is essentially a Dora Milaje or a proto Dora Milaje that is there assisting. That makes total sense. That there is a black soldier who is clearly an American soldier is, again, all these things just make total sense.
His name is Isaiah. I will be a little sus.
Well, yeah.
And then it puts them in the wrong order, but I would appreciate them trying. But
I think it's more likely that he will be a grandfather to Isaiah. I just think they've done a really good job of being like, we picked the most obvious characters and you can't really complain about it. It's also of note that while he doesn't really appear in any of the trailers or anything, Howard Stark will be in the game.
Oh my God, will Robin be there? Oh, Stark, not sorry, got it.
I don't have more details, but I did happen to see this while I was going through stuff. The woman character is a woman named Nanali.
Yes.
From the comics specifically.
Yeah, because this is from Captain America, Black Panther. It's like Flag of Truth or something.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
On that topic, real quick, just speaking of things being from things, Allie, I actually did have a little bit more Uncanny Valley than I wanted to have watching the trailer. I didn't want to have it, but I had it. I'm mostly pretty okay with Uncanny Valley. I'm mostly all right. The Polar Express makes me uncontrollably vomit, but that's because I'm alive. So I thought the animation here looked great. I hope the faces, maybe I just have to turn on motion smoothing and it'll calm me down, because motion smoothing can make anything look not right. But I definitely felt a little bit that the blinking threw me off. But no, I love this trailer in general. I love the atmosphere, the identity that they're giving it. They're giving it the feeling of a classic war comic, which is something that is so hard to embody with a character like Captain America. We all associate Captain America with classic superhero cinema now. 10 years ago, he literally wrote the book on how to lead a superhero movie alongside Iron Man. So the idea of transporting him to the part of his filmography, or the part of, filmography as a nation that maybe doesn't always play out the best in terms of like super heroics, war comics, war games, they're their own thing. Nobody's saying, why aren't you putting the Avengers in Call of Duty?
Well, actually some people are saying that, and some people really want all of them more in Fortnite. I will say I was certain, based on the success of Midnight Suns and the fact that this is a at the time of World War II game, I thought this was going to be another turn-based strategy like Midnight Suns, which I can see for many reasons why. So for one thing, this was absolutely in development at the same time as Midnight Suns by a completely different development company. But Midnight Suns, it is, for one thing, I am playing Midnight Suns right now, and it is one of the best Marvel games. This is after X-Men Legends, after the Legends games, this is the best one to me. Midnight Suns is the best one to me. And they did, I think, I was telling Nico how much I love it, and I didn't understand why it wasn't bigger. And Nico pointed out that the card aspect was off-putting to people, which I imagine is true and is really unfortunate, because it's literally just a visual modality for explaining powers and moves.
Same way I feel about Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. I don't think it's as good as 358/2,
Right.
but like I think it's at least competent.
Right. Well, and that's a really good example because it's a card game, but it's not a turn-based card game. And if it's not a turn-based card game, it's not really a card game because you can't
At
play card
all.
games without turns unless you're playing War, which you can't. Anyway, Midnight Suns is really just like when you get a thwip card, it's not a card. You just are using one of Spider-Man's powers. And if you've played XCOM, it's the same thing, just the visual modality is a little different. So I do think that you're right insofar as that was a bit off-putting to people, but it's actually really not part of the game. Anyway, Midnight Suns is fantastic. Everybody play it. I was surprised that 1943 was not going to be a turn-based game. My only fear with it is exactly what I was saying earlier, which is that Marvel really abandoned Avengers. And honestly, I'd had a good run. Nobody makes games anymore that they just put out and then go, we'll also do a little DLC and it'll be great. The only people that seem to do that is Nintendo.
And Square Enix.
Sometimes, but Square Enix, Square Enix said Final Fantasy 15 was going to be like ongoing forever, and then they shut it down within like 6 months.
No, if you played it on Stadia, all of it came out.
And then what happened to Stadia?
Wait, hold on. My Stadia Bluetooth remote is somewhere.
Yeah, you're welcome for that, by the way. I'm perfectly happy if Marvel just releases a great game and that's it. I would like to see them do more of that. I know we live in a world of microtransactions, DLC, long-term support, software as service, and I worry about games that have to fall into that category. This looks like it could very easily be an action-adventure visual novel telling us a story about Cap's past. I don't know where it will fit. Also, Skydance, insane company right now. They're everywhere. But I don't know where this will fit into a lot of Marvel storytelling vision. And I'm curious to sort of see it in the tapestry of the other games of its ilk, like Avengers, like Guardians of the Galaxy, like the Wolverine game that's coming out. But as excited as I am, and I am losing my shit excited, I'm really concerned about Rivals for exactly these reasons, because it is a free-to-play game. It is software as a service. I am so afeared of the proliferation of microtransactions that might need to be part of this game in order for it to be successful.
Rivals is one of those games where the rumors of it started in the same sort of rumor sphere that movies that never come out start. Every now and then when you hear, oh no, they're making a Death's Head 2 movie. It's coming. Just wait. And it's going to be directed by Russell T. Davies, and it's going to be written by, James Corden. And they just sort of attach random names to it, and they say that's what it is. When I first heard about Rivals, it was literally going to be one of those projects that they say, look, we're Marvel. We're a company that puts 2,000 things into development and 30 things get made. And then you see 28 of them. Calm down. The speed at which this was rushed has me really concerned. I really don't know who leaked what and to what end it made who very angry.
When you say this was rushed, you're talking about the announcement.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Thank you. The announcement of Rivals was so rushed. Like, I love this cover, but this does not feel like one of those super beautiful Final Fantasy original Japanese covers, which, by the way, didn't start till like 4, which is why the font on 1 through 4 is jank. This is one of those I could do an entire episode on Final Fantasy fonts. This is one of those pieces of promotional art where you're like, somebody was told to clean up a piece of concept art. Mm-hmm. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's incredible. But to this, I think as of an hour ago, MarvelRivals.com still wasn't up.
It is up now.
It is up now?
Okay. Yeah, and I do think it crashed. I don't think it wasn't ready, but...
Well, then it wasn't ready.
Yeah,
you got third act problems, you got first act problems.
Yeah, but I will say, separate from that, when we talked about it at the time, which was after this trailer had been announced, the social media was still not up. They might have had it set, but it wasn't posted on their YouTube and on the links for this trailer. There was a bunch. The sign up wasn't ready. There was a bunch of stuff that was not set that you would think would be really set.
Yeah, I had to work so hard to sign up for that alpha.
Yes, you were the one who found it for all of us, and I love you for that. As much as I'm like, just like, everybody do your homework, come to class prepared, there's also the feeling of do the even broader homework. Overwatch is in free fall right now. Blizzard can't be trusted. Esports are in the toilet. Riot can't be trusted. So there is a chance for Marvel and Disney to create the next big esport, the next big competitive, melee shooter, with characters that everybody loves that they can add indefinitely. I think it's great that Daredevil's not here, because imagine the hype for a Daredevil announcement. Imagine the hype for finding out what his skill set is. There's just so much to be played with, and it didn't feel like this was the trailer and the announcement for what Marvel could have on their hands.
I really think that part of the sign of that is that there's only one really clear original character. Ali Galactic, they made Marvel Super War, which is super incredible.
They made Future Fight as well, I believe.
Well, she asked if they've ever made a great game.
Okay. Well, I will say that the dude who... Anyways, no, sorry, you go. Continue.
Yeah. I just want to say, you said something about you said something about characters that people recognize. I am quite excited about my new girlfriend. I'm going to marry her. Galactica is everything to me. She has a name.
Are you serious?
I am.
She's not original to this, right?
She's not original to this, but their version is original to this.
Same thing with Luna Snow. The guy who is... That's what I was going to say. The guy who is directing this game created Luna Snow. He also created Galacta. I do feel like Galacta is essentially one semen-stoked piece of fan art away from being Bowsette. But...
wow, you're naming all of my favorite female characters. Okay.
Whatever keeps the kids happy.
Look, I just like a woman who's going to be like, oh, you think you're a dom, and just punches me in the face. Like, that's really what I'm looking for.
I mean, I love that for you. I just, she feels very waifu. I have her as a body pillow coded to me.
You think they're going to make a body pillow of her?
Oh, they 100. They're probably. I'm going to look on AliExpress right now. I guarantee you there already is one.
Send her this way.
Kamiko Tan.
Can I tell you, I think she's great. I think she's great because she's actually just sort of like so fucking stupid.
Yes, like, and we should laugh at how stupid Galactus is at this point.
Yeah, and like just the idea that Galactus is made interesting, and the idea of Galactus is so stupid in the first place at this point that the idea of a female like teenage Galactus who's just so sexy and trendy. How is that not fun? How is that not silly? And it's obviously in this magical world where, I don't know, I'm supposed to think that Rocket Raccoon is the same thing as Doctor Strange? Fuck no! So I love this idea that Galacta is this, and they're being really tight-lipped about her. They're being really, like, coy about her part in the game.
She's going to be a tank.
I'm in.
Yeah, and also, so I will say, Rocket is a support class, and Doctor Strange definitely is not, so there's at least that. all I know, we don't know what all the classes are. We're gonna have support, tank, and damage. I'm not sure if it will be such an Overwatch clone that damage will be separated in the same way that it is for Overwatch. But all we know, because from the leaked images, the only thing you can see clearly is the plus medical sign. Rocket, Luna Snow, Loki, and Mantis are in this initial run, are our support characters. And since I'm a support main, I'm going with Luna Snow first, and not Mantis or Rocket. Oh, Loki second.
As a standardly speaking, whatever the magical class is, whatever the I don't know, in Final Fantasy I'm kind of like I kind of try to be a red mage or a black mage. My favorite characters are Aerith and Lulu. I'm sorry, Aerith and Yuna, but I'm also a big Lulu Yuffie guy. As long as they're female, or Squall, because Squall is the most perfect man to ever live. Ever. But of course he died at the end of disc 1. I am definitely curious how this is all going to play out, as somebody who, I guess, I'll be support and I'll play Loki, but that's not my go-to. They've already said the characters are prepared for the second wave, characters like Thor. But part of me is,
you're going to want to be a tank in this game. I know it.
Probably. I'll probably go for Magneto, or,
who I do believe will be a tank, because I think he's going to be the Sigmund.
It's just tough because I'm not an Overwatch guy as far as the big love of my life. The big love of my life is JRPGs. I'd rather sit down.
And the classes are really different for Overwatch, and will be for this.
I'd rather sit down for 10 hours with Mother than just about any other video game in the world. And so it's tough, but I'm so excited about this. It makes me want to eat my tongue.
Well, and as soon as this was announced, I said to our group chat that I'm starting a league, because I really do think that Queer Esports League is one of the things that our community needs most. And I know our community loves Marvel, and so I'm totally serious about that. And if you are watching, watch this in all of our spaces, because we will be finding ways to organize games and have people play in both casual and professional settings. But I think this has the potential to be a really huge thing for Marvel. I think, to anybody who has criticisms, you are absolutely right. This is a shameless Overwatch clone. Well,
provided that's your criticism. If your criticism is that this is too much like the plot of Othello by Shakespeare, I don't know, man.
Then you need to get your shit together. But I am old enough to have been a part of things when it was Overwatch and Paladins, which came out at the exact same time, are the exact same game, and both audiences have still not stopped arguing about which one stole from which one. To me, Paladins was always the superior game, but never really found the popularity and support. Overwatch had everything going for it and threw it all away. Like I said, esports is in a really weird place right now. I think people are craving it more than ever, but Riot really can't be trusted. They threw out Legends of Runeterra, which was one of 2 very popular esports for them. They've still got League of Legends, but I think the company's taken a real hit. Overwatch ditched the Overwatch League entirely.
Well, and, I want to ask you about this, and I know in our comment section, or possibly still there, we have Peak Jonah. Baldur's Gate is one of those examples of a game that the sales are there, but they're not life-changing sales. Something that we talk about a lot. I had the fortunate opportunity to talk with comics historian and genius, also friend of the pod, Jake. And while I was talking with Jake, one of the things that we were talking about is that statistically, new Teen Titans and Teen Titans from the Wolfman Perez era, my favorite era by far, outsold Uncanny X-Men on the regular, not New Mutants. It outsold Uncanny X-Men. And one of the things that leads me to question is sometimes the way history favors winners is really unfair, because I'm the first person to be like, Eddie Vedder is the better front man. Kurt Cobain is number 2 in a very close race. I mean, no, they're all number 3 to Chris Cornell. But the bigger picture here is that, statistically, Pearl Jam outsold Nirvana until the unfortunate moment that took Kurt Cobain from us. Thanks, Courtney. So I find myself pushed to a place where I have to ask the evolution of these sorts of games, these sorts of networks of gameplay. The fact that Disney has spent so much money, a record-breaking amount of money on their relationship with Fortnite, and now to see Marvel doubling down on things like Snap and Rivals, it's really hard not to think that exactly what you're saying. Disney thinks that there is a possibility of turning Wide World of Sports, one of the largest sports complexes in the world in Orlando, Florida, into the wide world of esports, where Disney can host and house incredible esports competitions of people who have those same interests that would then find themselves in the park at 5:00 later that day.
Yeah, and it really is anybody's for the taking at this point. It requires enormous dedication and support, and a real preparation to deal with a fandom and an ecosystem. But I think they have the capability and the kind of technological setup to do it. What worries me is that we're not seeing it so much with Snap, that they're not really highlighting that as one of their big competitive games. But it might be part of, kind of a larger strategy of getting, pulling everything up to snuff and having that be part of, once Rivals is released, really starting the focus on esports. Go ahead.
Well, actually, I want to ask you a question sort of about that nature. One of the things with esports that we often see is things like, I feel oftentimes Snap is not esport friendly in terms of the fact that like the deck it's the same deck. You go up through the ranks, you get the same cards, you just sort of skin them uniquely. Do you think that Rivals is going to have a component that would maybe lend itself a little bit more to esports? One of the things that I've loved about enjoying Splatoon with you is, it's not just one of the most engaging bits of lore with some of the most fascinating music. They've managed to make a gameplay system where I don't feel disadvantaged for being unwilling to spend more. Sometimes when I'm playing Battlegrounds over on MCOC, that's Marvel's Contest of Champions, I feel a little disadvantaged because I'm unwilling to plunk down $100 a month to pick up things like Primordial Dust. Do you think that Rivals might have a system where it would lend itself a little bit more to that esport model? I mean, obviously, you don't have insider information, and if you did and you leaked it here, you'd be an ass.
I believe that the microtransactions will be entirely cosmetic. That's how it's been. There with the I do really wish we were buying the game. Because I don't know, back in the day I didn't mind how Overwatch did it, where you paid $60 for the game and then you got a little bit of loot boxes. I know we had the whole thing about loot boxes as gambling, but I didn't mind the idea of you could pay more for skins. Now when it's free to play and they're selling skin packages for $60, I don't know, I just kind of get a little bit worried, but I'm 100% certain that everything you need to play and be successful in the game will be free. There will be no advantage competitively to paying for anything. All of the paid stuff will be cosmetics, and it will be just kind of showing your dedication to the game.
Because medical insurance is completely free and only plastic surgery costs money.
Exactly. It's just like the real world in that way. We're giving the children a lesson through this game. No, I mean, the question really will be, will Matt Murdock be the character and then Elektra Daredevil be a skin? Or will those be two separate characters? Yeah. When you've got Peter, you can put Peter in 8 different Spider-Man suits on top of Ricochet, Hornet. You've got the entire Slingers cast to put him in.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, but Ultimate Spider-Man and the 4 costumes is such a direct parallel for Slingers down to the color scheme. I'm so happy.
Yeah. Hulk's. Are we doing Bruce Banner, and is Braun is Amadeus Cho a separate character? That's going to be one of the really big questions here, because again, sorry, I'm just going to keep naming characters, but are Wolverine and Laura 2 separate characters with 2 separate move sets, or is Laura a Wolverine skin? Some characters that I think you just said they have to be. I think you're right. I think it would be not right if Laura was not her own character. It would not be right if Miles and Spider-Man and Peter Parker weren't their own characters. But Peter in an Ultimate Peter Parker costume, that's pretty much fine. So it'll be interesting to see. There's going to be a lot to learn.
Really quick, Ali Galactic, are you Ali Gamer? Because obviously when we start going live with our plays, we would love to have you as part of our team.
Yeah, Ali, please be part of our team. Join the league.
We are such a big fan of our contributors. It's so awesome because it's such a unique thing. Sometimes I feel like as a show, we kind of are a game, and our comment section get to pick up controllers and join in, whether it's, Tasty Cake, Jonah when he's just not on air, or Polar Knights, or of course the absolute goat Ali Galactic. Tori, you're a producer. Shush.
Tori, play video games.
Look, she's a very busy lady, and she hasn't got all day. It won't cost much, just your voice. I don't know. Marvel Rivals is the most excited I have been about the potentiality of a new game franchise in a really long time. Unfortunately, one of the things that I think that winds up slowing me down a little bit on the readiness to holistically engage. Son of a bitch, just do it. Yes, obviously I want it. Obviously, TK, try again. Try again for me, handsome. Oh, handsome, you're on so much mute. There you go.
This is going to be the prize for our Queer Marvel Rivals League's first championship. If your team wins, you will each get a Galacta Marvel throw pillow.
Oh my God, my team has to win. TK, this is the moment that I officially decided to form a league separate from yours, so that I can beat you and win. Oh my God, look at her titties.
You could just get good and be on the winning team.
You have played Splatoon with me, MCOC with me, and also the Game of Life with me.
You are better at You're better at MCOC than me.
Oh man, she had straight up anime titties, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
That is
one nipple was out. It was
God.
Out, so, I'm just saying that is exactly what I have envisioned for that character. So I am stoked that pillow exists. Like I said, I knew it was there.
That is some rule of the internet rules.
Right? Yeah, rule 34 for sure.
It's the next level. This is like rule 39 because it's a physical pillow.
Tori, maybe you and I can share an account or something, and the two of us can be one combined player, because I know I'm going to get roped into this as well. And I'm also a novice, so anyone who is intimidated or nervous about not necessarily having a lot of squills to be on our team, that's not what we're here for, so don't worry.
And let's be clear, I will say I know I am better at a lot of first-person shooters that we play together than Nico is, because I play them more than he does. I am not better at MCOC than he is, and again, I think a lot of that is because he has played for 6 years more than I have. But
also I'm very good at it, you bitch.
Also, you're very good at it. It's true. I am a joke at first-person shooters. I am not ranked well in Overwatch. I'm not ranked well in Splatoon. I really want to build a league because I think queer people love esports and are really underrepresented in them. And I think a big part of that...
Queer people love esports.
And I think a big part of the lack of representation is just that we are not a united front and we're not a combined group. But I know so many queer people who are incredible at games like Smash, at Overwatch, at Paladins, at Splatoon, Valorant, League of Legends.
Legitimately, one of the things I find the sexiest is a guy who knows how to like seriously show off at a video game. I feel like guitar is my video game. That's the thing I'm going to be good at for the rest of my life. It's fine. But yeah, I really agree with you that there is a strong part of the queer identity that really connects with gaming. And then naturally, queer people are very competitive because, when it's you and one other gay person in the school, you naturally feel a need to compete with that one other gay person.
So that's why I get so passionate. I've been trying to do a Splatoon league forever. I haven't really bothered with Overwatch because they were getting litigious about leagues outside of their own. I'm very passionate about this because I think it is a whole place that queer people can gather together, and I know so many really talented queer people that I would love to see play.
And I know so many queer people that love whole places.
Thank you. That I would love to see play at a semi-competitive level. But I know just as many that I would love to see play just casually, just, be able to form leagues and play with friends, just have a dedicated night every, Wednesday nights at 11, the league plays or whatever it is, and just be able to play casually with other queer people, start a team, have some fun. And I think a game like Rivals is the perfect one to do it. But on a bigger scale, I really hope Disney is thinking, if they're playing 4D chess to my 2D checkers, and really thinking about the big picture of the esports ecosystem. Their investment in Epic Games really could be huge. I think Snap is still super viable. I'd love to see them put out a fighter. I think Snap, a fighter, and Rivals all firing on all cylinders, pairing with an organization like Wide World of Sports, could be a big thing for them.
I think it could be a game changer. I love so much of the opportunities I've had to game within the Marvel sphere, but one of the things that I think is always really missing out from the Marvel sphere's gaming environment is the ability to feel that it's as open world and as fair to play as maybe the comic world is. When I go to the comic shop and I buy the comic, I get the exact same experience as everybody else reading the comic. Now, what I take from it is unique, and my personal experience is different. Gaming, it is so unique. The path you take, the way you shape your character is one of a kind, and that can even change in many games the sort of progression you take. So for me, something like Rivals, giving me the ability to share my love of gaming with my love of sharing comics with people, this is going to be a game changer for me. I do want to say the 7 or 8 alliances that have offered me roles in the last couple of weeks in Alliance Quest because of the amount of battlegrounds I'm doing. You're all very sweet. No, thank you. I'm sticking with my alliance, but anybody that wants to join our alliance here, the X is for Show Alliance over at Marvel Contest of Champions, we would really love it. Alliance wars are hard. Oh my God, Ali Galactic.
All of us are waiting to play Jean Grey in Rivals. That will be, they're saving that for when the game starts to flag a little bit, or for when they have their first scandal where something has gone horribly wrong.
When P. Diddy turns out to have been one of the creators on the game.
Yep. It's NetEase, so a scandal's really not going to be far behind. They're saving Jean for a moment when they need, but honestly, that is the thing with this game. That's why I think it will be successful, because there will absolutely be problems. They will make stupid decisions. They will try and nickel and dime us with microtransactions. We will all get upset and be like, burn the whole thing to the ground. And that's when they will be like, hey, it's Xavier in full Krakoan regalia. Hey, we're doing X of Swords as an event and every character is being introduced. They've got so many cards up their sleeve for crowd pleasers from 60 years worth of character development. If they do something minorly wrong and introduce Werewolf by Night, I will forgive all of it. There's just so many things where I'm like, yeah, if that character shows up, I'm back in, no matter if it turns out that they committed genocide.
Well, with the exception of Red Skull, who should, obviously DIAF, except Hugo Weaving, who's a real prince. I feel very much that Rivals is sort of giving me, by giving me Galacta, it's giving me the opportunity to sort of say right away, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
If you give me Onslaught, if he's like a mean, bitchy, queer teenage Onslaught, and he's basically the Skull from Earth X, but like a gay Onslaught, who's basically that mean gay kid from that episode of Modern Family, I'm in. I don't care. The one thing that I think that Rivals offers us, sort of by its general demeanor, is it gives us an opportunity to sort of imagine these characters as hyper exaggerated versions of their own tropes. I would love a really, really obscenely queer Loki as much as I would love an obscenely beefed up Loki, because both of them exist in the comics. It's unfortunate that I feel the Namor they chose here leans a little bit more comic than MCU.
Oh, he's giving me a solid mix of the two.
Oh, he's giving me very Exiles version of the comic. I hear what you're saying, and I really respect and validate your experience. But, at the same time, don't laugh. I'm a nice man.
You are, but you don't have to accept or validate my experience. I just, when I saw him, I thought of some of the more kind of not white-coded characters from games like Overwatch. But, it's something that we'll really have to see. They obviously aesthetically too, they are really playing to, I believe, an Asian audience. And I think that's why we're getting a very, for lack of a better phrase, big-titted anime girl for Galacta. What is that explosive eye?
Nothing I can talk about live right now, but if you pay real close attention to this channel, you will understand on April 12th why my eyes just bugged the fuck right out of my head.
Very fair. I think
13?
Sorry.
13.
I think we'll get very unique aesthetics for each character. I do think some of them will come off a little unexciting, but I think we'll get others that really are a bit out of the box. And I think, also a lot of that stuff is going to evolve over time.
I think that's the nature of something like Rivals, which is meant to give everybody their opportunity to engage. The reason I am so excited about my Green Lantern read is because even though clearly it's about Hal and then about John and Guy, one of the things that is so important about Green Lantern is that every Green Lantern's experience is validated. That is not the same with the mutants. There are a lot of mutants who you're told, oh, you look second rate, so you're second rate. But the Cricket Green Lantern is given the exact same treatment as the Planet Green Lantern, who is given the exact same treatment as the sexy Volcano Man Green Lantern, who is obviously by far the hottest Green Lantern ever. The big thing here is I feel like Rivals, by calling it even Rivals, not calling it Heroes versus Villains, they're creating a shared tier where all of these characters are made equal. Ali Galactic, I see you say, if they give me Cosmar, I would fly to their studio and sell my soul. Honestly, there's a lot of ways where if they gave me Annalie, or honestly, it's going to sound so dumb, but it's exactly on topic. I grew up feeling very Wiccan. I grew up feeling very Billy, I'm the magic skinny boy. But then in my late 20s, I really put in the work and I put on like 100 pounds and I really beefed up. And then, I shred it down and I felt like a big muscle boy. And to this day, I always felt like Hulkling sucked because he just transformed into a muscle boy. Listen, I am playing Marvel Contest of Champions, and despite being a good 3,000 hero points lower, Hulkling can beat anybody. And so I find myself kind of feeling like, fuck, the gay kid is powerful. Oh my God, this is it. Power creep for the gay kid. We made it. And I feel excited to use him. So he's like a good 3,000 hero points lower than anybody else I use. And he fucking cleans the floor. Honestly, there is something about seeing yourself represented that makes you feel strong, handsome, smart, funny, cool. You don't have to necessarily put all of your stock in this one visual representation of your identity, but gosh, it feels really cool to be seen. Ali Galactic, to your question, we keep mentioning Marvel's Contest of Champions. That is a 9-year mobile game celebrating its 9th anniversary by introducing seasons of play. Right now is the X Magica season, which is all X-Men magical characters receive a humongous boost. Now, for me, that's a 20% boost on my Sunspot, who's already he's 6-star, unlocked to level 3, so he's riding in at a good 19,000 hero points every fucking day. And the X Magica bonus is definitely helping with that. So listen, kabam. There are 2 people on this screen right now who spend an actual ugly amount of time playing your game. Why not just sponsor us? We're very nice men. We're very handsome. Look at us. We're cool. And Allie, she wants to be a beautiful lady that helps sponsor your game. So why not make this happen?
Agreed.
But I really feel like by calling it Rivals, you're saying they're all equal. Anybody you put in this game automatically becomes an equal. If Hulkling
and
is
playing the villains is cool.
Yeah, Loki, or even somebody who's silly as a villain, would be okay in this, like Galacta, not Galactus, but it's still cool.
I mean, Doctor Doom will be in there and he'll be awesome. There will be some and again, that's why this is, for all that this is 100% stealing Overwatch gameplay, keep in mind Overwatch stole the idea of the Avengers. The Overwatch, the team, is just the Avengers. They're worldwide superheroes that are with different powers that are going around saving the world. They just have a very specific kind of story. And so part of the reason this works is because, like, when you play as Doomfist in Overwatch, Doomfist is a villain. He is a bad guy. It doesn't matter if everybody else in your team is, Orisa, who is a protagonist. Hanzo's kind of anti-hero, so that's like giving us a Logan. Mercy is the best person in the game, but if you're playing on a team with Mercy, you can also play with Moira, who is Mr. Sinister, essentially. So they're all on the team together.
Moira is Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, there you go. How the turntables. No.
Turntables.
And what makes Overwatch really fun is just cute little things like the dialogue. If you have both Moira and Mercy on your team, where Moira will be like, "You're fucking lame because you don't do evil science," and Mercy's like, "You're a horrible murderer. I'm just trying to save people's lives." And then you just go and play. So it will be very funny when you play, Rivals, and you're playing Reed Richards and somebody else is playing Doctor Doom, and Doom is just sitting there razzing you, and you two are arguing about science. It's going to be fun as hell. And again, it's Rivals. If Doom is the character that you're really good at, you don't want the game to be like, I guess you're on the evil team. You just want to play and have fun, which Overwatch proved you can do. So Marvel, steal it back.
And also Victor Von Doom kind of proved you can do. At any given time, Victor's like, "Hey guys, I'd like to be a good guy now, and if we could just forget that Trank film and just remember that on the Ultimate Universe I had goat legs, that would be really great." Yes. And I think that really is the magic of something like Rivals, capturing that energy of the limitlessness of the Marvel Comics sphere. That's the magic, and I think that's even kind of what we're seeing in Deadpool Wolverine, that limitlessness, that freedom to explore the multiverse as somebody hoping to engage with it as a fan. Rivals is about being a fan, and I wonder if so much of Deadpool's success the last couple of years, I am a pretty big Deadpool fan. I really do think that the whole world should be samurai swords and breaking the fourth wall. I will literally sometimes just go, and you know what I mean? No one's there. There's no piano player. I'm alone. There's no studio audience. And so,
hit it.
Right? Hit it. And Deadpool gives me that opportunity to signal to my piano player and ask my daughter Dorothy why nobody is playing. And I think that's the magic of Deadpool Wolverine. Deadpool is a character who always exists as sort of that Bright Lights Big City second person narrative experience. You are. Deadpool is never more ridiculous than any of us is. We've all had that night where it's just a few too many martinis, and we are just a little off our game. That's just Deadpool's status all the time. So I find myself excited about Deadpool and Wolverine, not just as a fan of comics and as a fan of movies, but as a fan of video games. There is something that is very, if everything is true and everyone in it is going to be in it, Deadpool and Wolverine really stands the possibility of playing like an X-Men Legends, but for one chimichanga loving motherfucker.
I think you're totally right about that. And I think it's something that Marvel needs. I think what we saw with the best parts of What If are that I love the big, massive lore that we're creating, but it's also maybe a big take to have it all cohere and make sense. It might need a little bit, not always, not everything, but it might need that morph spice of, obviously we can't have every character you want to see show up and be super relevant the same way that Captain America is. But what we can give you is a silly little taste, a version of it that is not sustainable for long term, but gives you that moment that you were really wanting, because you think you want an entire movie about Dazzler, about Disco Dazzler from the 70s. And sure, in a world where we had unlimited budgets, unlimited time, unlimited budget to get to the theater and watch things, maybe, but wouldn't it maybe be funnier and better and more satisfying and allow us to get on with our day if Deadpool makes a really fantastic Disco Dazzler joke in a 2-minute sequence that gives us the vision that we finally get her in the outfit? Maybe she's the Grace Jones we know she ought to be, and we do it, and Deadpool then breaks the fourth wall and tells us that's not going to be relevant in Kang, in the Kang dynasty, and we move on from it. We've had that moment, and Deadpool can do what he does, which is give us a lot of stuff, make it fun, make it funny, but also establish very clearly, Deadpool, can be a character that appears in a bunch of stuff, but you cannot have everything all the time. You can have as much as I can pack into this movie, and then you got to take the rest of it for what it is.
The most we can hope is that Janelle Monáe also walks into the scene, temporarily tongue kisses Taylor Swift's Dazzler. She goes, hot me, and then just like walks out of the scene. Like, that is the most we can hope for that sort of idea of Grace Jones Dazzler to also coexist with the idea of Disco Dazzler, to also be in a universe where Deadpool is only on his 3rd movie. I hate to be that guy, but name any character in the MCU on their 4th solo film after Thor. I'm going to wait. You can't. Yeah.
And I feel like Thor, there's a bit of a gimme to Love and Thunder. Yes, it is a Thor movie, but it is 1/3 a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It is very much a Jane movie. It is very much
it's Thor 4 more. It's Thor 4 more Thor.
It's also like maybe the first 30 minutes of Gods. When Hickman was making Gods as a visual piece for screen, not as the comic, which ended this week in issue number 6, people, the biggest thing in Marvel history.
Wait, wasn't it going to end at 8?
I thought it was 6.
Oh my gosh, I thought there were 2 more. I am pregnant with concern. But speaking of pregnant with
concern, it is 8. Okay, so we got 2 more. Yeah.
But on that topic, on that idea of things just seem to suddenly end and then we're left wondering, there was a period of time where it was like anti-Giuliani protests every other minute popping up all over the place that there were Deadpool spoilers. But now it's like people presenting the 6th episode of the reality competition gift wrapping series Rap Battle. I just can't find it on the internet. Where is more, you guys? I have to know how Carson ended things. I know how Carson ended things. But I am thrown by the fact that the Deadpool Wolverine rumors dried up like they were P. Diddy giving out song rights.
And I think maybe that should take us back to the idea that maybe guys, Marvel is a lot more in control of everything, can close sets when they want to, can schedule people, get them into the completely enclosed LED light background studio in order to have, who is it? James Marsden? Is it Jennifer Garner? Whoever you want to have them come and film.
Sonic's dad, James Marsden?
That's who he will be playing. You know, if we were getting spoilers and leaks before, I think maybe that was intentional.
Well, and you know, part of that I think has to do with the fact that this movie is the first movie to bridge two identities. We're not just talking about the MCU. We're not just talking about the Foxverse. We're talking about the first thing to be Secret Wars. More appropriately to be Crisis, but I'm trying not to be just, you know, all DC all the time like a big Sinestro boy.
I get that. And I think it's very fair that we are taking some time to give the Foxverse a proper send-off and import the best thing that we've got from it. It is, you know, it's weird because the acquisition of Disney just happened at a weird time. What we had left from them, including Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, was just not the best note to go out on. But on the other hand, you know, it had been really a decade, with the exception of the Deadpool movies, for Fox to put out anything good. And the Deadpool movies really didn't feel like they were part of anything because there was no cohesive Foxverse. Right. And so, you know, part of me is like, this is good. We can establish the new rules. We get to pull Deadpool in and we get to say goodbye to the Foxverse however we need to. I love that. At the same time, there is a part of me that is just like, boy, is this like maybe 4 years later than I would want it to be. And I'm very curious about where it's going from here.
I think it speaks a lot as well to the strange state that we have found art in over the last several years between the pandemic and everything else. You know, Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman were very, very adamant that Logan was their retirement as well.
Yeah.
They were like, this is our swan song. This is our bow. And now Patrick has appeared in a cameo that is like you guys were talking about earlier, where you were speculating, is this Wolverine going to be animated? Because he showed up in that yellow chair in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So neither of them retired. We can't guarantee that this is going to be the last appearance of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. We don't know where Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is going to go. And like you were saying,
I heard something about he's joining a soccer club.
Like you were saying, the acquisition of Fox by Disney, it happened at such a weird time during pandemic that, like, the way that Foxverse ended and transitioned into Disney was all so weird. So we really need something like this. We really need stuff like Secret Invasion to ramp up, entering a new phase, not just of the MCU, but like we're entering such a weird new phase of art production because of everything that's happened across all studios. So yeah, it affects Marvel much like it affects everyone.
Well, and not just Marvel, but it's a bigger picture, because part of the idea that we're talking about here is a holistic absorption of a property. You know, it's not just a matter of Disney absorbed Marvel, but now Disney absorbed Marvel and then absorbed Fox, which meant that Marvel absorbed Fox Marvel. And we even see reverberations of that in things like the Marvel inclusion of Planet of the Apes, Alien, Predator, and more. But part of what I am really fascinated about, and not to pivot, but there is a major another point of discussion this week with the Marvel inclusion in Tokyo Disney's It's a Small World, temporarily being rebranded It's a Small World, with Groot, as Groot and the Marvel oeuvre take over It's a Small World. Now, we've already seen It's a Small World in Disneyland, California, absorb the identity of Marvel characters that natively exist within their homelands, such as the Asian area getting a feature from Aladdin, and the area of the United States featuring Hawaii, including Moana or Stitch. It's Stitch and Lilo, my apologies.
Yeah.
Uh,
And they also have Jesse and Woody to represent cowboys.
Absolutely. England has Peter Pan and Tinkerbell.
Yep.
Now, this idea of including the identity of international heroes, this is a little tricky because while Black Panther, and I guess to an extent, you could make the argument Thor, probably do have native countries of origin. Ms. Marvel is an American citizen. And while I am very excited to see her trace her Muslim heritage, and I am very excited to see Mantis.
I have to wonder, are they also going to do overlays of the settings? Because, yeah, you're exactly right. These don't represent countries. So I'm wondering, like, is there going to be, instead
Nowhere?
of London, outer space? Is there going to be Manhattan? And that's where we will see, Avengers characters. Because, yeah, I really agree, unless it is going to be completely randomized. Because if it's randomized, it's fine. But if you're trying
it could
to
also
match,
be it's a small Marvel world. You know, when we're looking at these characters, you've got a portal, so we're going to Kamar-Taj, we're going to space,
exactly,
we're going to Manhattan. Yeah, I mean, I could see that, and I think does it a little bit defeat the original purpose of It's a Small World to essentially say, we are all one people, that, but at the same time, that message, while very sweet, is a lot more baked into a lot of culture.
I mean, it's also so hyper simplistic,
Exactly. I'm sort of saying even that more, where like you're either going to get educated on it, you are either going to be told through culture and schooling and a lot more that, the things that are our heritage make us unique and interesting, but we share those with the world and celebrate other people's, or you're just not going to get it, and a Disney ride isn't going to give it to you. So it might as well be like, hey, look how cool the worlds of our imagination are.
Right.
Look at, crazy Manhattan. Look at space. I love the idea that it's nowhere specifically, but Marvel Nowhere is also a prison, so who knows?
No, Nowhere's not the prison. It's just the place.
Oh, right. It's the collectors. It's the collectors. Well, that's kind of a prison, but it's not the prison that they were in.
The prison had another dumb pun name, like the Barge or the Knot or something weird.
And while we're talking about that oneness of people, I think that this is a really great opportunity to put somebody like Hulk and Rocket Raccoon, Thor, Groot, and Ms. Marvel on the same level by saying somebody who is as incredible as Ms. Marvel is on the same footing as Thor really humanizes the hero experience. Because to this day, there are still maybe a slightly more predominant number of like godlike white male characters. Because they're all human beings, but like, let's compare real human beings. Let's pick two random people. Me and Angela Bassett. At my best day, I'm like gay Dave Matthews on OnlyFans. But Angela Bassett is literally Bast. So like, there is definitely a quality of gradient to humans. And I feel like that sure exists in heroes. What's unfortunate is sometimes Marvel makes the decision to really lean into that and makes Thor seem so much more valuable to the experience than Kamala, which is just unfair to anybody who doesn't look like Thor and looks like Kamala. I, for one, would rather look like Angela Bassett than Dave Matthews. But we play the cards we're dealt.
That's a beautiful metaphor.
Oh my God, the Flarkin is there!
The Flarkin is there. We've got Ant-Man, so maybe we're going down to...
Scroll up, you got Wasp too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe we're going down to Subatomica or the Quantum Realm. Like I said, Kamar-Taj, Thor, we're going to Asgard. I think this is really interesting. And I'm bummed that I probably am not going to get over to Tokyo in time to see it.
Yeah.
Kevo, do you have those images ready?
Which ones?
Yeah. We're going to Tokyo before this parade retires. So anybody who's ever a little bit unsure, like they're like, well, Disney is Disney. No, as a matter of fact, 3 Disney parks are not simply Disney. And one of those Disney parks is Tokyo Disney, which is 51% owned by the Oriental Land Company. OLC, in many ways, is the financial protector of Disney's Imagineering side, putting in an incredible amount of money into developing things for Tokyo. And then because they are 49% owned by the Disney company, the Walt Disney Company gets to repurpose those ideas. And the Oriental Land Company is very aware of this. I was lucky enough to sit behind a delegation from OLC when I was in the Hollywood Studios Beauty and the Beast Theater. And like, you could hear how these people love what they are adapting and they are eager to give back. It was so exciting. The technology here, the colors, the lights, these are the things that are so different than what is going on in the US and honestly the European Disney parks, that it pushes us as American Imagineers to re-envision how we do things. I worked in theme parks for 5 years. To see this level, this caliber light design, and then to see Jose Carioca stand up on that stage, one of my absolute favorite fictional characters of all time, bar none.
To give another example, this genie float will he chameleon like will change the pattern on his skin, so he will become like a Dalmatian, like the 101 Dalmatians. Like, he'll change outfits. Like, these are the things they're able to do with these LED lights at this point. So, like, I really hope this parade gets transferred over to a more domestic park at some point, please.
It technically can't, because one of the things that's really tricky is the size of the streets are designed based on the area and the time and the architecture that fits those two things.
Well, but
unfortunately,
all that said, the lighting technology can come over in its own
way.
They
can learn from it. Yes,
they literally ship floats,
right?
And these floats will be too wide to go down any U.S. park, unfortunately.
But you could read it because they're essentially screens, so you can redesign them and program the lighting accordingly.
So hopefully.
Yeah.
And while this is certainly Main Street Electric Parade Dreamlights, it clearly reflects an experience of Main Street Electric Parade, Fantalusion, and SpectroMagic, 3 of the most important show-stop parades in the history of the Disney experience. And I bring that up because show stops were something very different. When Disney said, parades can stop and be a show, that really changed the game. I think if we're talking about Disney bringing Marvel into Small World, they're probably ready to change the game again in at least one other way. OLC doesn't do anything small, and I am so excited to see where OLC is going to take one of the most recognizable properties in the history of the world and then overlay it with Marvel. All right, well, that's me. My brain is tapped. Marvel Media Machine, we gave you everything we had this fine Thursday night, and I cannot be more grateful for the incredible Tori Sheehan, Tasty Cake, Ali Galactic, Peak Jonah, and more for filling our comment section with some of the finest comments this side of It's a Small World Tokyo. And that's either side you want, because it's just a line and you just go in either direction. So, I am so grateful for such an incredible episode. We talked about some amazing things. Kevo, you were mostly a listener today, with the exception of X-Men 97 and It's a Small World. Was there anything that really stood out to you as exciting about either of the games? Or are you going to lean a little bit more on theme parks and TV for your favorite moment of this episode?
I am interested to learn about the games. I am interested to learn more about Rivals. I'm not sure how super competent I am going to be at it, but I'm going to give it my best. And at the very least, I will certainly be an amazing cheerleader for all of us. Yeah. What was the face?
I am so thrilled that you would even try playing, mostly as a gamer with a husband who is not a gamer. I am very lucky that my husband thinks that one of the equally important roles in esports is cheering on your partner. I couldn't be more grateful. As a gamer whose partner is also phenomenally better than him. Hey, Jonah. I am used to being crushed mercilessly. It'll be like round 48 of Smash, and Jonah will be like, "Oh, babe, you got one." And he means one kill, not one win. So I'm used to it. But Kevo, to hear that you would be interested to even engage with the idea of these games says that Marvel Gaming is doing something right, bringing people who are so excited about the Marvel experience into gaming. And that definitely tells us that we did something right with this episode and warms my heart.
Heck yeah.
TK, 3 of these things were built for you, and one of them is something that I'm going to literally tie you down to and possibly have to use some sort of sedative to get you to sit through.
I'll watch Deadpool. You don't have to worry.
Aw, you're so funny. But until I kidnap you, take you to Tokyo, and drug you to get you to go on a ride in a theme park that costs way too much money to go to. Hey, I'm just looking at you, Disney. What was your favorite episode moment from today?
It's Marvel Rivals, 100% all the way through. Y'all knew this was coming. I like I said, I'm dead fucking serious. We are starting a league. We are bringing Queer Family together around this game because Queer Family has not been represented in esports. And again, we're going to be talking casual and competitive play, but we got to stake our flag somewhere. And I just feel like I know so many of us play games and get really bummed about so many of us are really, and I said so many of you, because not me, are phenomenal at games, but still end up playing in, teams with insane aggro heterosexual men who use slurs and use really horrible language, and no matter how good you play, they just bring negativity and toxicity and make you feel terrible. So I really see a chance with this game getting its alpha in May, and hopefully a bunch of us will get into it, and having some time to really both build hype, but also plan a little bit to really call each other out, call each other together, and build some community around something we all love, competitive gaming and Marvel. And yeah, I knew minute one when I saw that trailer that it was so for me and so for this community, and I'm just so excited. And like Ali Galactic, I will just be waiting on the edge of my seat for however long it takes them to announce Jean Grey. Will it be Phoenix and then we get a Jean Grey 90 skin? Will it be Jean Grey in the blue armor and we'll get a Phoenix skin? I don't know.
Will it be Banshee and will he get skinned?
Thank you. It's Banshee and it's Moira, and you get a Banshee skin, and she just there's so much to wait and find out, and
so much skin.
So excited. So much skin.
It's like a KFC. Well be
the 6th season of skins.
Ali Galactic, I just want to say that if I had my way, we would have an incredible team with so many people, so varied, that you would have to fight to be the one.
Yeah, you will not be the one.
Yes.
You are going to be one of
Thank you for you guys saying it, because if you didn't, I was absolutely going to point out you have to fight in this group.
I was actually, like, when I think about who I know will be serious about this, it's like primarily trans girls.
One of the things that blew my mind was that I was not the only Latino guy who was like, "Do you want to see my big dick?" At college, that was like, "Do you want to talk about Tori Amos?" Like, that was when I met
community.
When I met another dude who was like, "No, actually, my family is from Puerto Rico, and no, I'm going to tell you why Parasol is the best song. Also, you should suck me." Like, it was like, that experience was so dehumanizing. I will never forget. It was at the little theater at the Wilkes-Barre. Anyway, so it did not escalate that quickly. This took 2 hours.
Yeah, true.
No, but my whole point there being that, we think that we are so alone in some of the things that we love because we are made to feel that way by the identity of public-facing community. But TK, your whole point is that this is really going to be a queer experience thing. I am not the world's biggest competitive esports person. Oh, Kevo, what a great choice. I just noticed the music. I am not the world's biggest competitive esports person, but I literally broke out all of my controllers and started charging them. I put one by my desktop and one at my laptop because I'm
They're going to need that 2 months of charging for how hard you're going to go once it starts.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get to enjoy that. And that's actually what I am most excited about as well. I'm really most excited about Rivals. If I could say a second thing I'm most excited about is Knuckles. I know we didn't talk about it this episode.
No, but
like counting down
he's
the
coming
seconds.
up. We're about to go knuckle deep.
Idris Elba as Knuckles is one of the greatest gifts of fiction ever. And I think that's a really great time to turn to our incredible upcoming board. Kevo does such an unbelievable job, not just curating this board, but pulling together an unbelievable commercial that highlights all of these amazing products, like the upcoming finales of both Drag Race 16 and UK versus the World Season 2. Marina Tia Coffee, Le Grand Dame, you just can't go wrong. Hey, Hanaconda, you're there too. I love you, baby. Knuckles, Godzilla vs. Kong. Godzilla by Kong, V Kong, X Kong. It doesn't matter. We got Eurovision, which I am chomping at that playlist so hard.
I am ready to start watching the playlist together. I've started on my own.
I've been listening on my own too, handsome.
Nice. I'm down. There's some good hits.
That middle row, Kevo, Discovery, Beacon, Doctor, Acolyte. That is 4 unbelievable sci-fi shows.
That's our season of sci-fi.
It's going to really escalate what this channel has been doing in terms of trying to bring really cutting-edge sci-fi, where Beacon 23 and Discovery both left off were so engaging. Doctor Who is setting up for some weird magic space sci-fi that I'm really excited about. And Acolyte continues to talk down to me in a way that makes me say, yes, mommy. So I am okay with it. We have already been on record as saying that Deadpool Wolverine is one of the most exciting duos in a long time. Oh, what you got?
And all of season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy dropped in France. So we're still waiting for updates on, like, every episode title is available now. I haven't seen any episode descriptions yet, but the entire season dropped. So we're going to find out when this is going to be dropped in English-speaking countries. Strange New Worlds is filming season 3. And a lot of the actors from Strange New Worlds were spotted at the wrap party for Section 31. So that's very intriguing.
And the description of it is they crashed the wrap party. But then when you look at who wrote that description, it is a Paramount press release. So, I am like legitimately bleeding from the eyes, like somebody just breathed chili powder into them, excited for this Section 31 movie. We have not had a standalone in-universe Star Trek movie that did what this could do for the franchise. This is going to be so exciting. I am so excited to see how all of this transforms, evolves, and plays out. Speaking of what I would love to see, I would love to see all of you like, comment, and subscribe. Like and subscribe is for us, but commenting is for you guys so that we can continue to make you guys the best kinds of programming for you. Our audience means so much to us, and we just want to support you guys the way you support us with those likes and comments. So let us know what we can do to make this show even better for you. Now, okay, purely selfish. We got 3 things we want you to do. Number 1, that is stay safe. It's a spooky world. Number 2, you got to be brave because in the face of this spookiness, you got to stay you. And number 3, evolve daily because who you were yesterday is incredible. Who you are today is amazing. But who you are tomorrow is going to be even better. And we can't wait to see that. So if you can do that, like 6 things, I know it's a lot. We can't wait to see you then. And love you.